Live from Radio Days Europe here in Athens, Greece. It's Tom Watts, Radio Express, and we are about to learn all about the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union. There we go.
Audience participation.
Hello to Justin. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
I'm excited to learn about the EBU because, I'll be honest, my experience of it is from watching Eurovision, but it does so much more than just Eurovision, right?
Absolutely. So that's usually my conversation opener.
Okay.
When somebody says, EBU, it's Eurovision Song Contest, right?
Exactly.
And it is. Mm-hmm. And Eurovision Song Contest is huge, as you know. Celebrates its 70th birthday next year, 2026. But yeah, EBU does loads. So just to give you just a flavour of what else we do. So news, well, first of all, we represent public service media in Europe and in other parts of the world as well. So 112 members, I believe. So wherever you are watching and listening to this now, if you're in Europe, think about your public service media, whether that's France Télévision, Radio France, Czech Radio, BBC, they're members of the EBU. Mm-hmm. So the ways in which they benefit from being members, news is obviously a really important part of what public service media does. So we have a newsroom in Geneva.
Okay.
And what they're doing a lot, but some of the things they're doing are facilitating the sharing of content between members, right? So if a huge story breaks out in Paris this afternoon, breaks in Paris, and Radio France are first on the scene, that content can be shared very quickly with other public service media. There is also an incredibly impressive, and I love spending time with them because I think it's a fascinating area of work and it's becoming ever more challenging. There is a fantastic verification team based in the newsroom.
Okay.
So they're there 24/7 checking what claims to be eyewitness video from, again, breaking news. And they have all sorts of tools and techniques. I sort of think of them as journalism detectives.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a great, fascinating job.
Is that a relatively new thing? I know sort of like in the UK, the BBC have BBC Verify now, which is a similar concept, but is that something new? It's obviously more and more relevant these days.
Yeah, I suppose relatively new, I suppose, but you know, in this world of mis and disinformation in which we live, it's increasingly important. So this team check whether something's genuine or not, and then acquire the rights for broadcasters to be able to show it, you know, on TV or on their own socials or websites, whatever it might be. Yeah. So that's the newsroom. They're doing a lot more than that, but that's all going on. And then sport.
Okay.
So, you know, we all love sport. It's interesting looking from country to country. I mean, football's a constant.
Yeah.
But there are some countries where handball, for example, is massive.
Okay.
In other countries, it's not. So it's really interesting looking across Europe and how sport plays out.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, no matter what country you're in, sport's a big deal. So we have a sports team, and a big part of what they do is negotiating rights, you know, which is obviously a complex but really important process that they go through. And then, so we could be here, quite frankly, all afternoon. I'm happy to stay here all afternoon, but just to give you
a lovely time.
Just to give you a sense of what we do. And what I do is I work for EBU Academy.
Okay.
So we're helping our members, supporting them with learning and development. So one of the reasons that I'm here at Radio Days Europe is to talk about artificial intelligence because, you know, I think we all know this is something that's going to affect all of us, right? And no matter what you do, working in radio or media, quite frankly, no matter what you do, and outside of your professional life, AI is going to impact you. So in terms of people learning about AI, I mean, we all need to learn about AI. So it's a massive challenge. So,
but also an opportunity?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at EBU, we definitely lean towards optimism when it comes to artificial intelligence and how it can be used. And I think, you know, thinking of AI as a tool, or a collection of tools as it is, that you can use to make you more efficient, for example, potentially support your creativity. You know, if you are, if you're not surrounded with work colleagues on a given day, and you need some new ideas, for example, well, you can turn to a large language model, and that can be a catalyst, that can be something to start your creative process. But I talked about news being fundamentally important to public service media, and, balanced, trustworthy news being fundamental to our democracies, right? It's really, really important.
Yeah.
I think that's where we just need to be really careful about AI, in terms of generative AI and the use of generative AI, that's not something that's used in journalism at the moment.
Yeah.
But if you look at the work of the verification team, AI-supported tools, helping them decide whether content is real or not. So
of course.
There are so many uses for AI, but no doubt we have to handle it with care and definitely protect the trust that audiences have in their public service media organisations.
Because that's one thing for sure, like you mentioned, it's been a theme out of Radio Days Europe, I think, over not just this year, but the last couple of years, about how we harness it to work for and with us, rather than being sort of fearful of the unknown.
Yeah, and I can understand why people are fearful. I mean, we are celebrating a year of the School of AI, EBU Academy School of AI. So we sort of felt we'll meet the challenge of doing this huge amount of trainings that we'll need to do by creating a curriculum without sounding too much like a school. Creating this curriculum of courses and other learning activities. And part of what we're doing with that is actually raising AI literacy. So everybody has a good level of balanced understanding about AI. And just like you said, Tom, everyone understanding there are some benefits that you can reap today, but there are some real challenges and real risks that you need to be aware of as well. So probably about 50% of what we do right now is just helping everybody understand and raise a good level of AI literacy. And the other half of what we're doing is around upskilling. But here at Radio Days Europe, there's something called the Audio Agora.
Yes.
You've probably been talking about that in other interviews that you've done and videos, where there's a group of media students from across Europe, and they get the chance to sit down with professionals and have a good old chat, basically, like they did in the days of ancient Greece and had these agoras. And I took part in one yesterday about AI. And I have to say, it filled me with huge amount of confidence for for our future, because this is the next generation.
It is.
Right?
It's the future of our industry.
When I finally get to have a break at some point, these are the people that will be running our media organisations. And we talked about AI, and we talked about the opportunities, and we talked about the kind of the threats as well. And they were so eloquent and so smart and so right in what they were saying. I talked to a couple of trainee journalists, and they said, we understand there's ways we can use it now, but at the end of the day, great journalism is about connecting with people and helping them tell their stories and doing it in a way that, there's emotion behind news sometimes, and I'm not sure whether AI is ever going to be able to replicate that. And I think they're absolutely right, So it's really good to hear that from young people yesterday, taking a really good, balanced, kind of smart approach to thinking about how artificial intelligence can be used in media, and particularly in journalism. So that was one of my highlights, actually, of being here. Sitting down, talking to these young people, and I thought, this is good. This is really great. These young people are really thinking carefully about artificial intelligence.
I think you've brought together two of the main themes of Radio Days here in Athens. It's AI is a big theme, and also the future of our industry, and bringing young people in. It sounds like you combined both of those two things together. Pretty perfectly.
It's good. And we are going to be going back to Eurovision Song Contest for a minute. EBU Academy is going to be in Basel this year. And we are running some media masterclasses. So basically, when Eurovision rolls into town, it's not just what you see on TV on a Saturday night, right? There's activities all week, semi-finals, dress rehearsals, etc., etc. So there's an awful lot of journalists in Basel. There's over 1,000 journalists in Basel to cover the song contest. And we thought maybe we could do something in the morning to help upskill based on topics that they can then go and use in the afternoon when they're covering the Eurovision Song Contest. Like, how do you film even better videos with your smartphone? Some of those verification skills, because like there's rumours and gossip, flies around about Eurovision. But one of the things that I was really keen to do as well is open up to media students. So if you are listening to this now, whether you're a professional or whether you are a media student, maybe you're coming to Basel just to be part of the atmosphere, because I'm learning more about the Eurovision Song Contest, and a lot of people that don't have tickets just come to the city because there's lots of events. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you are a media student and you're coming to Basel and you fancy learning and surrounding yourself with some professionals, we're going to do some networking off the back of the training as well. Then if you go to the EBU Academy website, look for the Eurovision logo. We're opening registrations for that now, and I'm quite excited about it. And I hope we do get a decent number of media students through, because, as you said, Tom, this is the next generation of public service media workers and commercial radio workers, and wherever they choose to be. Maybe they're just going to set up a huge YouTube or TikTok account of their own and have an audience. But they are the future of communications. So, quite happy to meet those young people, and if we can help upskill them as well, in Basel, then that's fantastic.
What an incredible opportunity. Justin from the EBU, thank you so much for sharing us your experience. You're incredibly generous with your time, so thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you so much for joining us, and check back on the stream for more interesting conversations just like this one.